all the stories you know and love in a me sort of way, bringing religion, spirituality, and who knows what else.
Listen to the Pastor with the Master battle the thunder from down under.
On Religion, Ho-Ho's Way. Welcome to Religion Ho-Ho's Way, and as always, I'm your host, Ho-Ho. How are y'all's doing? I hope you're doing good. I really do. So as promised, this is the more or less the part two to yesterday's episode, or at least the episode that I published yesterday, entitled America, God, or We Need God. I think that's what it was called. And this one is entitled, well, we'll get to that. Of course, you all know what it is. Lion, not a sheep. Now, if you did your homework, you listened to that song, God, We Need You Now by Struggle Jennings and Caitlin Curtis, and there is a line in that song, a hat that he's even wearing that says, lions, not sheep. When God chose, now mind you, okay, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. In the beginning, it is stated in John 1 that it was Jesus that was there in the beginning. It was his hand, or his hands, that formed Adam and Eve. He was the one that created it all. Without him, nothing that was created could have been created. And when God decided to come to earth, well, okay, let me back up a little bit, because when in the beginning God created, God knew that we would screw up. He knew it. He's all-knowing. He knew it was going to happen. But he still felt that it was worth it anyway. Each and every part of his creation, it was still worth it to him. Even though he knew that he would have to return to save us. And when Jesus came down the first time, when Jesus came, he, the very essence and the glory and the goo of God was within the physical embodiment. And his name was Jesus. And he came as a lion, as sheep being led to slaughter, because his purpose was to be an example on how we should live, how we should interact with people, how we, our compassion towards people. He's shown us what was possible if we lived a life in devotion to the Father. And that was some 2,000 years ago. But when he returns, he's not coming the same. He's not. He's going to be different. His presence will be different, because he's not coming here as a lion to the sheep. He's not coming back as a sacrifice as he came the first time. He's coming to clean house. He's coming for a different reason. You hear a lot of talk about sheepdogs and sheepdogs are important. They got a job to do. They really do. Sheepdogs more like, cops. Okay. They're more like sheepdogs. They're there to, kind of keep the wolves in check. Okay. They watch out for the sheep. That's the whole point of a sheepdog. They watch out for the sheep. They make sure they're safe. They keep the wolves away. But God calls us to be something different as Christians, as believers. He calls us to be something different. He calls us to be lions. Because a lion doesn't just protect the sheep from the wolves. The lion protects the entirety of the pride. The other lions and lionesses, all the other animals of the pride, the giraffes, the caribou, the antelope, and yes, even the sheep, from not just the wolves, but the jackals and the hyenas. They protect the entirety of the pride, not just the other animals, but the land itself is under the protection of the lion. And when Jesus returns, that's what he's coming as. He's coming not as a sheep, but as a lion. And sometimes the lion has to show the jackals why he's the king of the jungle. Jesus ain't coming back humble. He's coming back to finish the fight. It's more or less what it amounts to. The Last Supper. You read in the various books, the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and I don't remember which, this particular teaching is in. I know it's not in all four of them, and I'm pretty sure it's in like two of the four. Definitely one. But one of the things that it says is, Jesus is talking to his disciples, and he says, look, before I had told you that when you traveled, when you go out, when you teach, when you preach, when you spread the good word, that, don't take a purse, don't take a weapon, you're not going to need it. But there is coming a time, and yet is here, that you will need to carry protection. You need to have a sword. He doesn't say gun, because back then they didn't have guns. He said sword, because that's what they had. Your ability to protect yourself, your family, your home, your kin is of the utmost importance. You do this because on the road there are robbers and thieves that wish to do you harm, and you have to be able to protect yourself. Even if it means selling your cloak to get protection, you make sure you get protection. In my home state of Illinois, they just passed this ridiculous bill that they will no longer detain for some stuff that is just beyond comprehension. It's a what the heck are they doing up in Chicago? That they're no longer going to be detaining people for even violent crimes. I talked about this in a different episode, in one of the episodes of the Ho-Ho Show. I talked about this. Available on the other channel, the Ho-Ho Show. And it's like, are you kidding me? That scripture, it just hits different now. Because we have truly reached that time when you have to protect yourselves. Because the sheepdogs aren't equipped to handle it. The lions must handle it. I mean, the law can't help you anymore. The craziness of our society has been normalized to the point to where murder too. you won't go to prison for, you won't go to jail, you won't, it's a cashless bail. And there's other things that are along in that as well. It's ridiculous where we're going. We need to be able to protect ourselves against the lions, the jackals, and the hyenas. God warned us about this. Jesus warned his disciples during the Last Supper. This is important. Even if it means you sell your cloak to get a sword, you get a sword. Now, why is that important? Back in the day, your cloak was everything. It protected you against the elements. It would, that little additional barrier to, just in case you got attacked by an animal, you had that ability to survive it. It helped you. It was your lifeline. It was that thing that without it, you might not survive the wilderness when you were traveling from A to B. It was that important that you had protection, that if it meant you gave up your car to get it, if you live out in the country and you 20 miles from the place that you work, it is more important that you have that protection than you have your car, than you have your lifeline. It's more important. Actually, let me put it to you like this. It's more important for you to have a gun than what it is to have a cell phone. I think that would be an adequate comparison and more accurate. Let me say that again, just in case that didn't quite hit you good enough the first time. It is more important for you to have protection than what it is for you to have your phone. That's reality. That's the reality we're living in right now. Lion, not a sheep. It is our job to protect the pride. In one of my next episodes, I'm going to be talking about something. Manhood. There was a movie that I watched, The Proposal. It has Ryan Reynolds in it, and it has Sandra Bullock in it. Funny movie, hilarious, it cracks me up. But there are things in there that unless you are of the know, unless you are of my generation and older, you might not pick up on the undertone. You might not pick up why there are certain things that Ryan Reynolds did and how he interacted with Sandra Bullock. And there's one particular scene that I'm referring to on this. I want to be talking about this in one of my next episodes. This one might be a few weeks out. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to be doing this one. But, the next regularly scheduled episode will be on Saturday. And that next one is going to be Kool-Aid. Actually, juice or Kool-Aid. Yeah, that's going to be a good episode. You guys are going to enjoy that one. That's a good one. That's what I'm going to be talking about. Because as a nation, as a people, we're in the hurt locker. Okay? First and foremost, you got to get right with God. You got to get on that path. But you got to understand that it is our job to be a lion. We are supposed to be of the know. It's our job to help, to guide, to do what we have to. As a lion, it is our job to protect the pride. When he returns, he's not coming back as he left, as a sheep being left to slaughter. He's coming back as a lion. And he's going to go after the lions, the jackals, and the hyenas. I know what side of that battle I want to be on. Till next time, y'all have a good one. Thank you for listening to Religion Ho-Ho's Way. For a complete listing of episodes and shows, you can head to thehohoshow.com and click on the episode tab. See you next time.